Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Frequency Shift podcast with Alexis Gallagher and Susan Elliott. We are so excited and glad that you're here. We are starting the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And I just wanted to go over the preface a little bit of this book so you can understand where he's coming from. And then we'll do chapter 1 and 2. So when he starts out, he's talking in his preface about how he's seen miracles happen, and it's a Dr. Joseph Murphy. Again, he's seen so many miracles. He's gone now, but he just talks about in the preface he saw a lot of miracles, and he says, "Do you know the answers?" And he's talking about why do you see one person who is truly happy and another person that's not happy? Why do you see somebody who's fearful and anxious and then you see somebody that's full of faith and confidence? And so those are great questions. I mean, and we would just want to dive deeper and see what his understanding is. He just talks about how he also says that he's witnessed, which he was a doctor, he's witnessed people with incurable diseases and how they overcame the diseases. And I know that sounds crazy, and some people might say it's far-fetched, but again, Alexis and I know the power of our subconscious mind and our mind altogether. And I've actually experienced some great, some health issues that I've actually overcome. And then he's going on, he's talking about his reason for writing the book and how he studied and dedicated a lot of his life to the studying of the power of your subconscious and your conscious mind and the difference and understanding the difference. And he talks about releasing the miracle working power of it. He says wonders happen when you pray effectively. So he points out that a lot of times that we will go and say a prayer, but we only do it after something bad has happened or something perceived bad has happened. And most of the time when we go to prayer, we go in a state of fear or anxiety instead of a state of gratitude and being happy for whatever we have. So then consequently our prayer is answered, but it's not answered the way we want. He says everybody prays. Certainly prayer is an ever-present help in time of trouble, but why should you wait for trouble to make prayer an integral and constructive part of your life? The dramatic answers to prayer make headlines and are the subject of testimonies to the effectiveness of prayer. But what of the many humble prayers of children, the simple thanksgiving of grace at the table daily, the faithful devotions wherein the individual seeks only communion with God? So again, people most of the time, they only pray after something happens instead of praying like the Bible says. It says pray ceaselessly. Everyday prayer. The unique feature of the book is down-to-earth practicality. Here you'll find simple, usable techniques and formulas that you can easily apply in your everyday life. And he's going on, he says, what do you believe? Contrary to what many people think, it's not the thing that is believed in that brings an answer to a person's prayers. Prayers are answered when the individual's subconscious mind responds to the mental picture or thought in his or her mind. The law and belief is a secret operating principle in all the religions of the world. It is a hidden reason for their psychological truth. And then he goes on about the different religions: Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Jew, and how different people get answers to their prayer. And he talks about how, why can one person pray and get an answer and another one doesn't? So he says the law of life is belief. Belief can be summed up briefly as a thought in your mind. As a person thinks, feels, and believes, so is the condition of his mind, body, and circumstances. So it goes back to what we've taught before. It has to do, the universe responds to your energy, to how you feel. So you can say a prayer all day long, I want whatever, X, Y, or Z. But if you don't feel grateful for already having it, then you might as well say it a million times and it's not going to be answered. He says, time is one mind common to all individuals. The miracle working powers of your subconscious mind existed before you and I were born, before any church or world existed. The great truth, eternal truth and principles of life, antidote all religions. It is with these thoughts in mind that I urge you in the following chapters to lay hold of this wonderful, magical, transforming power. It will bind up mental and physical wounds, proclaim liberty to the fear-ridden mind, and liberate you completely from the limitations of poverty, failure, misery, lack, and frustration. He says, all of us have such beliefs and ideas that we have long since forgotten about beliefs and ideas that perhaps had their origins in our childhood. These are hidden in the deeper recesses of the subconscious dark room. Knowing this should make it clear why it is time to develop a healthy respect for your thoughts.
Becoming aware of our thoughts and what we're thinking, and knowing that we can change that.
And it takes a lot of study and dedication to become aware because, like a lot of the great leaders tell us, and we know that's true, most of what we are doing habitually every day is 98% condition of our habits, our habitual habits, and our paradigm. And so that is at the subconscious level. So chapter 1 is titled The Treasure House Within You. So he's starting out explaining, he says, a magnetized piece of iron will lift 12 times its own weight. But if you demagnetize the same piece of iron, it will not lift even a feather. In the same way, there are two types of people. Those who are magnetized are full of confidence and faith. They know they are born to win and to succeed. Others, so many others, are demagnetized. They are full of fears and doubt. When an opportunity comes, they say, what if I fail? I might lose my money. People will laugh at me. People of this sort will not get very far in life. Their fear to go forward makes them simply stay where they are. And then he says, you can become a magnetized person when you discover and put to use the master secret of the ages. Suppose someone asked you to name the master secret of the ages. What would you answer? Atomic energy, interplanetary travel, black holes? No, it's not any of these. Then what is this master secret? Where can we find it and how can it be understood and put into action? The answer is extraordinarily simple. The secret is the marvelous miracle working power found in your subconscious mind. That is the last place most people will look for it, which is a reason so few ever find it. So Napoleon Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich. He was so, he wasn't even a doctor. He just did his research by interviewing all these different successful people. And he talks in depth about this power of the subconscious mind. Through the wisdom of your subconscious mind, you can attract the ideal companion as well as the right business associate or partner. It can show you how to get all the money you need and give you the financial freedom to be, to do, and to go as your heart desires, which is so wonderful. I mean, that's part of what keeps us going is because we know the power of it and we use the power of it. So it's a different feeling.
Yeah, it does. It changes your life and just how you operate day to day. Doesn't mean you don't still face challenges and things like that, but you're just able to navigate, life's peaks and valleys in a much more serene and peaceful manner than without this knowledge and understanding.
And he goes on, he says, find a working basis. The principles of chemistry, physics, and mathematics are no different in their workings from the principles of the subconscious mind. If you want to make use of chemical or physical forces, you must learn the principles of the field. If you want to make use of the force of your subconscious mind, you must learn its principles. So that's one of the things that our mentor taught us. He said, you must understand your mind and you must understand universal laws. That's what Bob's always said. And it sounds simple enough, but and understanding it and studying it intellectually is one thing, but then, enacting it and taking action into your life is a whole nother thing that Alexis and I help people do. He says the principle of matter expands when heated. This is true anywhere, anytime, under any circumstances. If you heat a piece of steel, it will expand. Whether the steel is found in China, England, India, or some other or an orbiting space station. Matter expands when heated. This is a universal truth. It is also a universal truth that whatever you impress upon your subconscious mind is expressed on the screen of space as condition, experience, and event. So, as we know, um, Bob Proctor studied with Earl Nightingale, and Earl Nightingale always explained the subconscious as a fertile soil where you plant seeds, and he used the analogy of planting a weed seed or a seed of corn or something that a flower, and that's what you plant. You're gonna reap whatever you plant. So he says your subconscious mind is principle. It works according to the law of belief. You must know what belief is, why it works, and how it works. The Bible says in simple, clear, and beautiful way, if anyone says to this mountain, be lifted from your place and hurled into the sea, and has no inward doubts, but believes that what he says is happening, it will be done for him. I tell you then, whatever you ask for in your prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. The law of your mind is the law of belief. So belief is a very interesting word, and we have to build our belief and our faith, because again, if you can say these affirmations, but if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. It's not going to do anything. And it seems like such a harsh thing, but it's true, and we have to understand it and apply the laws, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I could say like just adding to that is like believing in the beginning when we're starting to use this material, or even I found knowing it and understanding it, or getting to understand it because you're always working at it, is that when you move on, you've achieved that goal, now you're on to your next one. And depending on what kind of blocks you have around it, it's still that tug of war of in the beginning of getting yourself to believe it, right? And you have to keep saying it, and it's through that repetition of saying it that eventually you do start to believe it, and it does start to become present in every cell of your being, and that's when you know that you're moving closer to your goal. So you got to make belief and keep belief, and and it turns into belief, and then it turns into reality.
Like Neville Goddard says, feeling is a secret. If you feel like you've already reached your goal and you keep staying in that vibration, it cannot help but manifest.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
The duality of mind. You have only one mind, but the mind possesses two distinct and characteristic functional parts. The frontier that separates the two is well known to students of the mind. The two functions of the mind are essentially different from each other. Each has its separate and distinct attributes and powers. Many names have been used to distinguish the two functions of the mind. And so it says you can use objective or subjective, the conscious, the subconscious, the waking, the sleeping, the surface and the deep self, the voluntary and the involuntary, the male and the female essence. So yeah, it's like I was talking to Alexis earlier about mental gender, and the male as essence is the I am. When you say your I am statements, that is powerful because you're giving a command to the subconscious, which is the female essence, which is the part of you that manifests the goal. So he says, throughout this book, I use the terms conscious and subconscious to represent the dual nature of the mind. If another set of terms comes more easily to you, by all means use it. The starting point is to recognize and acknowledge the double nature of the mind. And both Alexis and I that studied with Bob, he had a simple, easy way of showing it when he would draw a big circle and then a little circle. And the big circle was representing the mind, the upper and the lower, the conscious and the subconscious, and then the body. And of course, that's not how it really is, but it helps us grasp it better. He would explain that your subconscious is in every part of your being. So that's not really how it is, but it helps you understand it better. The conscious and the subconscious mind, a wonderful way to begin getting to know the two functions of your mind is to think of it as a garden. You are the gardener. You are planting the seeds of thought in your subconscious mind all day long. Much of the time, you're not even aware of doing so because the seeds are based on your habitual thinking, and you sow in your subconscious mind, so shall you reap in your body and environment. And that's why Alexis and I stress the fact that finding out, knowing, doing a checkpoint throughout the day of how you're feeling. And then it's like, okay, why am I feeling not, maybe I'm feeling a little doubtful or fearful. And that is what thoughts were you thinking a few minutes ago or right now that put you in that vibration? And Bob always said that you became emotionally involved with that thought, and that's why you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So Joseph Murphy goes on, he says, look around you, wherever you live, whatever circle of society you're in, most people they live in a world without. Those who are more enlightened, however, are intensely involved with the world within. They realize, as you will too, that the world within creates the world without. Your thoughts, feelings, and visualized imagery are the organizing principles of your experience. He goes on, he says, most great scientists, artists, poets, singers, writers, and inventors have a deep understanding of the workings of the conscious and the subconscious mind. It was with this that gave the power to accomplish the goals. So yeah, a lot of great artists and creators, they know the power and they use it. So he says, understanding differences in modes of operation. The conscious mind is like the navigator or captain at the bridge of the ship. He directs the ship. He sends the orders to the crew and engine room. So it's like I was saying earlier, the conscious mind is the gatekeeper, and it you have control of the conscious mind, and you can plant those seeds, whether they're positive or negative, and then it brings it forth, the subconscious. And then Joseph goes on about how people use their conscious, or excuse me, their subconscious and planted seeds, and what came of it. He gave an example here. He says he gave this woman an affirmation, and she said she began saying it, but she got in a quiet mode, in a quiet mindset, similar to meditation. I believe it's the alpha wave. I can't remember which one, but you get right before sleep. And that's when your mind is most receptive. And she said an affirmation. She was an elderly lady and she was a widow and she wanted a husband. Anyway, it brought forth, and she actually met a gentleman at a drugstore and ended up marrying him. So it does work, and we know it. In chapter 2, he talks about how your mind works. Your mind is the most precious possession. It's always with you, but its most amazing powers will be yours when you have learned how to use it. And as we have seen, there are two levels of your mind, and the conscious or rational and the subconscious irrational. And he says, if you think good, good will follow. If you think evil, evil will follow. This is the way your mind works. And then he goes on about the difference between conscious and subconscious. You must remember the conscious and subconscious are not two minds, excuse me, not two minds. They are merely two spheres of activity within one mind. Your conscious mind is the reasoning mind. It is the phase of the mind that chooses. And Bob would go in detail about how your conscious mind is the intellect, and the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's really imagined with emotion. And that's why it's so powerful. If you can imagine something as real and feel it as real, and if you keep planting that seed, then it finds a way to carry out the order. And he says, he's talking about, Joseph's talking, on the other hand, with any conscious choice on your part, your heart's kept functioning automatically, and the vital functions of digestion, circulation, and breathing are carried out by your subconscious mind through a process independent of the conscious control. So just like with your immune system, your subconscious automatically takes over and protects you. I mean, you're built with that automatic immune system. And so it does digestion, circulation, breathing automatically. You don't have to think about it.
Mhm.
He says a skilled hypnotist may suggest to the students that their back itches or their nose is bleeding, or any of those type of things. And that's what happens. Then the subject who's under hypnosis has a bloody nose or their nose starts itching. And that's how powerful it is. I mean, we know this and hear this a lot. We just simply forget about it.
Yeah, it's something to put into practice daily. Use it every day. It's how you get stronger and better at it and share it with others.
Exactly. Your subconscious mind's often referred to as your subjective mind. Your subjective mind's aware of the environment, but not by means of physical senses. Your subjective mind perceives by intuition. It's the seat of your emotions and the storehouse of memory. Your subjective mind performs its highest functions when your objective senses are not functioning. And then he goes on, he's talking about the power of suggestion, how, like, if you were, say, on a ship and you suggested to somebody, oh my, you don't look well, you look like you're going to be sick. And if a person doesn't have like a very strong will and state of mind, they will be subject to that and they will feel sick. But then he points out, he says, if you said that to somebody who's like, a ship hand that lives on the deck, they would just laugh at you and say, what are you talking about? I'm not going to be sick. I've been immune to this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He goes on, he's talking about how this man went on and on about his daughter was sick. She had arthritis, and he kept saying, oh, I'll give my right arm for my daughter to be better. And you think you can just say something innocently. Well, he said it all the time and he believed it. And then one day he got in a car accident.
No.
His arm was torn off at the shoulder, but then his daughter's arthritis condition was totally cleared up.
Wow. But it sounds like fiction, but it's not. These things it's true. So when I started reading that, because you're putting so much energy into it, You're manifesting it. The universe doesn't know, to the universe, nothing's good or bad. So it just is, right? And so all it's hearing is what you what you want. And the universe is giving you whatever you want. And that one is just you telling it. So yeah, you gotta be careful about your, wishes, just like the saying goes.
Exactly. So he goes on about different stories about a man that had a bad temper, and he realized it. He was aware enough to realize it and not just be angry. He started kind of meditating and doing an affirmation, and he changed himself. He changed. Um, and then not Napoleon, I almost said Napoleon Hill. Um, Joseph Murphy goes on about the power of suggestion and how you can counteract. All of us have some negative paradigm in us, but we also have some good, a good paradigm. And he goes on. He's talking about how your parents and relatives basically planted some negative things, and they didn't do it on purpose, but instilled a lot of fear in you. Just like when children are young, we'll say, "Oh, don't do that, you're gonna fall down." Well, falling down is just part of learning. So
Right.
yeah, they're gonna fall down. And so anyway, this is we're about to end here, and he says infinite intelligence gave me this desire. It leads, guides, and reveals me to the perfect plan for the unfolding of my desire. I know the deeper wisdom of my subconscious is now responding, and what I feel and claim within is expressed without. It's balance, equilibrium, and equanimity. So yeah, challenge yourself, do some affirmations in front of the mirror and see what changes.
And before you're going to bed at night, it's again such a great time because your subconscious is wide open and you can just program for it. And then all night, yeah, your mind is working on that. So, that's it for us tonight. We want to thank you all so much for tuning into the frequency shift. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. And Susan, have a great night, everybody.
Bye bye.